Hey everyone, it's me, Boss, back again with another video, and today we are doing another faction review, but not for Age of Sigmar. We're going to be doing those on a bi-weekly basis. Today we are doing the Hunter Clade kill team from White Dwarf issue 468, which I think was September 2021. Correct me if I'm wrong. So in this one we're going to talk about what the kill team does, ideal lists for casual and I guess I haven't done much competitive kill team yet, but you know, I can kind of get a feeling of what's good in the list. So without further ado, let's get into it. Kill team organization. Now, for starters, you're going to be wanting a Sicarian, whether that be the Sicarian Infiltrator or the Rust Stalker, to be your leader. You don't want your leader dying too quickly because they give out the command protocols, and 10 wound model does not into how many guys you can take in the fire team. I guess it counts towards your Sicarian, but like having one of them be your sergeant, never going to complain. So how should you build your Sicarian HQ? For starters, you want to take the little Uzi Fetched Blaster. This is because he's always going to be up close and personal or with someone, and having a range Pentagon is pretty good when it's Relentless and Fusillade, which is pretty lethal. And for melee weapon, go whatever you think looks cool. The Taser Goad's good at disabling more than killing, whereas the Power Sword is a Power Sword. It does a lot of good killing. Now, for your operatives, you probably want to only have 2 or 3 normal Sicarian operatives. So one Sicarian, like this is how I build one of my Sicarians with Power Sword and Blaster. And then in the pipeline for me is a Sicarian with Stub Carbine and Taser Goad, who's more of a suppression, like suppressing and disabling more than outright damage. Then you get some Skitarii operatives. You get 2 gunners. If you go all Skitarii, you get 3, but I would recommend taking some Sicarians for more wounds and some melee, because once your guys get into melee, they're dead. So, first off, I would always take the Plasma Caliber. The amount of damage this thing can put out is actually bonkers. And I mean, getting hot is fine. If you're in one of the Imperatives, which we'll get to soon, it's not really a risk. And then I would personally, it's going to be controversial, I know, but I have actually had more success with the Arc Rifle. The main reason for that is with the Arquebus, yes, that thing. If you're running a pure Skitarii, then obviously chuck him in. He's free, but he cannot move and shoot for 2 turns. You want disabling one of your best models for 2 turns, whereas the Arc Rifle can just bolt around the field, shooting people, which is pretty good. Then you get to these new special guys called a Dictat and a Surveyor. So the Dictat gives out action points like the old comm specialist from Warhammer Kill Team 8th edition. And the Surveyor helps reveal people, and the Surveyor, let's get the model for it. The Surveyor helps with dealing with enemy models that are in cover, which can be a pain for some. Like, for example, it's great against armies that are good with conceals like Gene Stealers, so you can just get a cheeky Gene Stealer off the board with one of your action points, which is not too shabby. And then for the rest, depends how you want to play the kill team. If you want to be up close and personal, if you have Sicarians, you're going to be wanting to use Vanguard operatives, mainly for the reason that the Vanguard operatives benefit from being up close, but not too close, whereas the Rangers actually cannot move and shoot, whereas these guys can. Not to mention they have rending guns, which is, you know, you can't complain about a gun that has rending. And whereas these guys are good damage output, but cannot move. So it's whether you're being all 10 Skitarii, I would go have your operatives be Rangers, but if you're going to have a mix with some Sicarians in there, definitely take some Vanguard to help support the Sicarians. Now, if you really don't want a Sicarian HQ, or Sergeant, or Alpha, I would take a Vanguard Alpha, because when he's in melee, he's actually hindering movement around them, which is quite nice. So I would take that. And for your special weapons, take it on whatever body you think looks cool. I took it on a Vanguard, and a ranger, respectively. But either or, it's going to be fine. Then, what makes this kill team special compared to the not White Dwarf, the Compendium kill team? For one, you get the Dictate and Surveyor, and for second, you get the Sicarian Operatives, which is pretty good if you ask me. The Sicarians are a great addition. Also, you get the Protector, the Imperatives, which are hard copies from the Codex. So the Protector Imperative, when you are shooting, if you miss 4 times, if you miss more than 2 times, you can reroll all your hits that have failed. However, in melee, you cannot reroll. Then you have the Conqueror Imperative, which is just reversing that. You cannot reroll shooting, but you reroll your melee if you miss 2 or more times. Then there's the Bulwark Imperative. In the roll defense dice step, you reroll your saves if there is 2 or more fails, which with these guys is not too bad since you've got a 50-50 chance of passing. However, you subtract Circle from movement, which with a shooter kill team is really good, but with the Sicarian mix and Vanguard, do not take them. Then you have the Aggressor Imperative, which is add triangle to your move, but you do not gain cover bonuses, which with that, like with your placements, is not usually going to matter, but it can mean you can't conceal, which is pretty good. Well, not pretty good, pretty bad. They also have some cheeky little equipment, like a Refractor Field, which just gives your leader a 4+ invulnerable, Mechadendrites, which let you do the pickup action for 1 less, so for 0 AP, so you get a free pickup action. Or you have a Servo Skull, which lets you flip an objective for free. So they're pretty good at the objective game, which I think there's their point. They're not great at the damage game, like they can hurt, but they're better at the objective game. What are their strengths and weaknesses? A strength is their numbers. You're getting 10 bodies with some pretty decent firepower and pretty decent melee output with the Sicarians on the board, compared to the Rubric Marine kill team, where you only get 6 bodies. You're probably going to be holding down more objectives each turn. Another strength that they have is their weaponry is not like, they're not like the Guard kill team where it's lasgun. The Vanguard operative here has a lasgun with rending and 4 damage, so this guy can be scary up close. He can deal with the little fellas. Against tougher targets like Marines, he's not doing that well, but yeah. Another strength is more shots with plasma that do 5 damage on a crit. You can't say no to that. And also the fact that you gain access to you gain access to the Sicarian operatives, which don't take up extra spaces like Rubric Marines, and have more wounds. Although the restriction is you can't have more Sicarians than you have Scutari or Vanguard operatives. So you're only getting 4, but I mean, that's still 40 wounds your opponent's got to chew through, or 41 if you take the Sergeant, which isn't bad, and their guns on them are not bad, and this Rust Stalkers are a lethal thing once they get into combat. They out melee Gene Stealers, which I would say is the creme de la creme of melee operatives in Kill Team. So where would I put these guys in a tier list if I was to make a tier list? I put them in A tier. They're not S tier material. They ain't Krieg, they ain't Commando, and they ain't, from what I've seen, Legionary or Corsair, but they're certainly not Drukhari. Drukhari are surprisingly not great. Their melee operatives aren't as good. We'll get to them in another video. And they're not, I'd say they're just squidging in above the Rubric Marine kill team, the Warp Coven. Just a tiny bit, not by much. But that is 2 different play styles. So yeah, and what would I rate them for beginners? I would say, from my experiences personally, to master, they're medium. They're a medium kill team to play. They aren't difficult like Warp Coven. Warp Coven are stupidly hard to master, but they're not as easy as a Death Watch or a Death Corps of Krieg kill team. Like, you're gonna need to lose a few games before you know what you're doing and how the kill team runs effectively. So if you start this kill team as your first kill team, expect to lose a couple games, but also expect a few wins, because they can really do some work. How would I start this kill team? Finally, let's do that. I would start with just a box of Scutari and go Mono Ranger. The reason for this is it's not going to be tournament winning, You need Sicarians and Vanguard for that. But you're going to get to know how the Doctrine Imperatives work, how the relics or equipment works, and how the kill team as a whole functions. You could maybe even just stick with it. I've actually seen not a world tournament, but a small competitive event where a Ranger kill team actually came out on top, or came in top 5, I think, which was actually quite funny. And finally, I would say yes, do run this over the compendium kill team, just based off the fact that you're getting more operatives and more cheeky little rules in there. But yeah, that's been that video. I hope you enjoyed. Next video will be covering Age of Sigmar once again, doing a faction focus on them. So yeah, we're going to try and alter between Kill Team faction focus and Age of Sigmar faction focus, and maybe sprinkle some 40k faction focus in. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the videos. If you did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.